Good. Okay. Hey, this is Coach Nikki. I am back and I'm excited. I'm starting to get a children book authors around here. Come on now. And they are serving. It doesn't necessarily have to have God in the book, but the message come clear that, you're going to live your life regardless of twists and turns and up and down. Stay focused. God going to always bring you back to where you need to be. Okay, so let's bring in this amazing author. I don't want to mess her name up. Welcome to our tour.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what made you write this dynamic book.
Well, my name is Amiekoleh Kimbra Usafi, but my writer's name is AK Usafi because I thought it'd be a little bit easier for people. And I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I am an artist and a children's book author, and illustrator, and a teacher. So yeah. But what you want to ask me? What made me write the book?
Yeah, what made you decide to write this book?
It's crazy because I never had any ambitions on writing or illustrating a book, but I went through a really, really turbulent period in my life, and I was calling out to God. And I said, well, then you give me something to do. And the idea came to me in three thoughts. It wasn't like the voice of God like that, but it was an authoritative voice speaking to me and said, write a book. And I just followed the thought. And it was like, well, write a book about what? And the second thought was a rock. And that caught my attention. And I said, well, what's this rock's name going to be? Rocky, like everything around here. And
right.
the third thought was Gladstone. So I was like, wow. So you mean it's going to be a happy ending? And so that's how I started with a little rock, because you said it doesn't have anything to do with God, but it does, because Jesus is the rock. It's the rock. He's the rock.
I was thinking that, you didn't have the actual word God in it, but it always bring you back. Hearing the rock always bring you back, or your message will always bring people back to who they're supposed to be.
So. Yeah, the little rock at one point, though, he tells the tree, he says, God willing, I'll see you again, because he was happy as can be under his tree, but his whole life shifted when he got picked up and put in a boy's pocket. Right. And he was young and didn't know the boy would give him a throw. So he ended up going through a lot of tribulations and different things, but everywhere that he went, he landed upside down in his head at the bottom of the ocean. All he could do was look up. And he says, well, there are many lovely things here to see, things I never would have under my tree. And since I am where I am, and I might as well be me, so I might as well enjoy what I see. So, that's really basically the message of the book, that even when you're on your lowest points, when you're in your valley experiences, when you're on your back, and all you can do is look up. Those are really fruitful times for God to show you that he'll give you manna in the desert. So, that's exactly what this book is about. And it teaches children that, to have perseverance and to look for the good no matter where you're at, because it's always there, even in your toughest times. So, and in the end, he gets back, he goes through the whole range of emotions, from being glad, from being a glad stone to a sad stone to a mad stone. And at the end, he realizes who he really is. He says, I don't have to stay here. I can go because I'm a rock. I can roll. So he ends up rolling back to where he wants to be. He finds his power. And so that's really the message of the story, too, that, if he can find his power, so can we, and that's the message.
I love that. I love that so much. How long did it take you to write this story?
Well, this story, actually, it was really literally a 7-year journey, because I got the idea. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I got the idea when I was going through a divorce, and I was just really devastated. But God gave me that idea. I said, well, you gave me all this talent, that you give me something to do. And the idea came to write the book. And all I did was just write, there once was a rock named Gladstone, and I drew a little picture, and then I stuck it on the wall. And then I moved, and I started a new life. And I stuck that paper on the wall, and I walked by that paper for 4 years, literally, until one day it was just background noise. I didn't even see it. And one day I happened to glance over about 4 years later, and I saw it. And I said, that's a really good idea. Then it became a mission. So from that point, it didn't really take me that well. I wrote the book, the words first, and then gradually I was afraid. I would tell anybody, just take the first step,
Yeah.
because I was, just take the first step, because I was afraid. I was afraid to do the illustrations. I was like, oh, I got to get somebody to do these illustrations for me. And then God reminded me that I was an artist, and I drew the first picture, then I drew the second picture. And, before I knew it, the book was done. And so that was what the delay was for me. And then I self-published it myself. So I had to go and ask people, how do you do this? How do you do that? Where do you get the ISBN numbers? Where do you get, the library, Congress card, so you can get a library? So that's why it took me so long, and finding someone to print it for me. And because I wanted to have complete control over it. I didn't want to hand it over to a traditional publisher at that time. But yeah, but it happened, and it
Okay,
came
so,
together.
so what do you tell your 13-year-old self?
What do I tell my 13-year-old self? That
Out of all the stuff you were overcame, and out of all the distractions that came your way, and
I
you
would
look back at life,
I would probably tell my 13-year-old self that all things work for the good of those who love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. So there's no mistakes with God. I mean, all of it is for the good. Look at that way, and you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be all right.
wow,
We can't leave this earth until we've fulfilled our purpose, right?
that's right.
Right,
Now that you said some then.
right.
You do
So,
not leave this world until you fulfill what God has told you to fulfill. So that's so important.
and everybody has something.
Yes, everybody has a story.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody has a story. What's your advice to an aspiring author?
I would say my advice to aspiring author is, you don't delay. Just go and look at some books that are maybe similar to what you want to write. Go ahead and get some paper, fold some paper like a book, write the title on the front. You gotta, I would tell anyone that's writing, you got to get the idea from out of your head. You got to actually birth it physically on the earth. So even if you have to just take some papers and fold some papers like a book and write the title with your name on it, that's your first start. That now you've gotten it out of your head into a reality. And
Mhm.
then, just to look at books that are similar to yours. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And if you're a children's book author, you don't have to. There's so many ways you could take pictures of illustration. You can find an illustrator, but you don't necessarily have to have an illustrator. There's so many creative ways that you can put your book together. And I would just say, just talk to as many people as you can who've written a book, who can, like you're doing on your show, to give you advice. But
Mhm.
definitely, that's the first thing I did. I just made it. I said, okay, I'm gonna write a book. Okay, so what does a book look like? I took some paper, folded it like a book, wrote the first, oh, this is the first page. This is the words on the first page. Oh, okay, this is here. Then, later on, I was able to do my illustrations and work with a formatter to actually, put my words onto the pictures and actually make it into a format that could be printed. But it
Mhm.
started with just that idea that if I'm gonna have a book, I need something physically I can see. So yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my advice.
In this time of season with all the pandemic going on, all the stuff going on with this crazy election and COVID, can you say something encouraging to someone out there that's listening?
I would say to anyone that's out there listening is that, as children of the King, we don't have to fear. We aren't called for the spirit of fear. Just as our ancestors in the past, He's brought us through, He's going to
Mhm.
bring us through this. We don't have to look to the world for our answers, because our answers are not in the world. I see what they're doing, and I note, because I do have to, be aware of what's going on in the world, but we don't have to focus on that. And we have to continue to work on our self-care. It's not showing self-care when I get caught up in all the stuff that the world is putting out there and what they're saying, because there's a lot of deception. So just be encouraged. As long as we keep our focus on God and the mission that the work that God has given us, that we're going to be okay. And of course we have to pray and put positive energy out wherever we can go, but not to worry, because it's already done. It's already done. And so
Wow.
that
That's what you'll tell them.
yeah, I
So
would.
you can find this book.
You can find it on my website, which is gladstonebook.com. And by the end of today, it's going up on Kindle. So you will be able to see it shortly on Kindle, certainly before the end of the week. It will be on Kindle. And on my website, it's in some bookstores, well, in Los Angeles, not, internationally, but I guess the first place to probably find it will be at gladstonebook.com. And that's my site.
Well, thank you so much for being on our live. Thank you so much for stepping out and doing this interview. It was an amazing interview. Such an enlightenment and inspirational person. I did notice that. Keep pushing, keep striving.
Thank you so much.
That can keep our heart warm.
Thank
Stay encouraged and make sure God, you definitely being led by our Father, Lord God. So if I could be any assistance to you, please let me know. Like I told her, I'm here to serve. I'm here to do whatever I can do to help get you on a better platform and build that name up.
Well, thank you so much.
So
thank you, and thank you for what you're doing. I mean, this is pretty awesome that you're creating this platform for writers. I was really inspired, and when I went down your Instagram page and I saw all the women, I was like, we doing things. Women are doing things.
And you know, and it's like everywhere I go, someone sends me a nugget. Someone just sent me a nugget, like nuggets coming from all over the place. And I'm like, Lord, just come on, keep sending these nuggets. Keep pushing me into the place where you want me to be at, because I want to be led by him only.
Yeah.
I've done enough of me leading. He can have it.
Yes. About that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you take care. Hopefully I'll see you when I come up in May.
All right. Well, come on up to Cali, okay?
You take care now.
Yes, you too. Bye. Bye.